The courts go towards the women. No, women are just better fighting. They're better at directing. I go to the courts all the time and I watch and I watch and I watch about what's going on within divorce court, in family law. And the guys, we show up to the wrong fight. We try to fight fire with fire. Well, I see the doctors. I take them to the doctors too. Well, I know the teachers. I know my son's teachers also. That's not the way you fight. You fight fire with a fire extinguisher. We're using their strategy when we got so much other strategy that we could go. Talking about major landmarks in their life. Who taught them to swim? Who taught them to read? Who taught them to ride a bike? I've seen it where a guy will shaft the women just on court, shaft the women. And because he was angrier, he was much angrier. And he got way more custody. Children of divorced parents, poor them. I hate hearing that. I still hear that once in a while with my family. Oh, the poor kids. Dude, these cats, they have a much better relationship than they would have had if I would have been a dad that was married. And I'm sure you guys have seen it too if you've been divorced for a while. But
What do you do when you have kids? I have a 24-year-old that just got married and a 20-year-old that, even though their mom had two affairs and was just a liar the whole time, they support her no matter what. And I try to say, this is the truth. This is the facts. Here's writings that she said this, and they still don't believe it
because they don't want to hear it. What they want to see is a thriving dad, thriving Ryan. That's what they want to see. They want to see you getting ahead of the curve and saying, fuck yeah, I'm single and I'm beautiful. That's what they want to see. They want to see you throw some game on, son. That's what they want to see. They want to see you talk to your kids as the young adults that they are. That's what they want to see. That the shit, it's anticlimactic when people tell their people that are watching on YouTube, they're gonna and they've been through this, they're gonna say, yeah, that's true. So what happens is, if you tell your kids that your spouse cheated, guess what? You're in for a disappointment because the kids won't know how to react. So what I say is, stay in your zone. Say it's your ride. Have them come and join you in the fun way. That's what I would say. I'd also say that children alienation is completely different than the way it used to be, than the way it's thought. It's not so much, oh, your father's a piece of shit kind of thing, because that often backfires. Children alienation is definitely true, but most of the time it's a situation where the mom starts caring for the children a lot more than the dad, like playing dirty games, like, oh, hey, kids are sick, or taking them out to like becoming their friend. That's another way to alienate kids. So it's not so much they badmouth you. It's more like they embrace it way different and use underhanded techniques to get you ahead. But what I will tell you big time is to not address the sins of their mom, but address your wins instead. Start showing them how to, if you have boys, how to be a young man. If you have a daughter, how to be a young lady. Dude, I'm not kidding you. Get a mani-pedi with your daughter. Totally cool. I could imagine you would too, by the way, because I think you're a kick-ass dude. So yeah.
I do it already, and hair and nails.
So yeah, so that's how you do it. And you respect them as the kids that they are, because that's how you do it. It's through bonding, not through buying. Again, not all divorce coaches are created equal. One thing I'll say, going back to misconceptions, is you're a better catch than you think. A lot of you guys are like, fuck, I'm here. I am. I'm 40 years old. Many of you guys are twice divorced. Many of you guys are it's your first time, and you think, fuck, I got 3 kids. They're all young, and I'm 40 years old. And what am I going to do now? What do I do now? Nobody's going to want me. Guess what? If you're 40 years old and you have kids and divorced, you're a bigger catch than if you were 40 years old and never been married. So think about that. You have adult problems, but so does the other person. A 40-year-old guy that's never been married is seen like he will not commit. And most of the women that you're going to be meeting feel the same way. So that's pretty well established that the guy that it's about 52% of the time the female moves out. It's not the guy.
You can't afford the mortgage.
Ah, my man. George, is that George?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You hit it right on the dot. You can't afford the mortgage. People talk about the 5 stages of grief. That's old. The 5 stages of grief is related more to death and dying, people who are about to die. That's when the stages come. Validate your feelings. It's not exactly the way it's thought, it's expected. The anger, the denial, anger, and then negotiation and stuff. It's not like that. It's more denial, anger, denial, begging. I mean, fear, all of the above. So there's like 50 stages of grief, and then release. And that's when you've gone to a point where you've forgiven, actually, you've forgotten them. Like that is more like you're forgotten. So, and that's hopefully where you guys will get. But in order to do that, you have to do the work. Okay?
No, a protection from abuse when
Yeah, a fake restraining order. That's what
Yep.
he's saying. Fake ass restraining order.
mine did that
Okay.
twice in 15 years and never touched her once and or never even really yelled at her. But I found out she was having an affair. And the next day she went and filed protection from abuse to get me out of the
But,
house.
but I say there was so much respect to you. You went through a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
A ton. I think your kids are noticing that too. If I could notice it was in the first 30 seconds of you and I speaking, and I say this with so much respect and sensitivity, please, can we talk whenever set something up, please, Ryan, is that fair? Because I think that there could be something done, but it's getting you forward. It's getting you moving and not going
And
back,
and you're right. And I'm still extremely angry. And I've been out of my divorce now for over a year. But yeah.
And I get it. I mean, you went through a lot of trauma. I'll talk to guys and I'll be like, when was your last physical exam? And they're like, it was 2 years ago when I found out that she was fucking cheating on me. And I went and called her dad and he told me to get over it and X, Y, and Z. And what was the question again? That's what they'll say. You have children. All right. The biggest risk factor that you're going to have custody issues. What's it going to be?
Alcohol abuse, drug abuse.
Kind of. Actually, not as much as you think. The biggest risk factor is if the mother is a daughter, right, when she was growing up, of a single mom. That's the biggest risk factor. If you have that, get your shit together, get your documents in order, because that is going to be prepared for a war. And that's, I can't think of any occasion where a guy is going, and I might be wrong, but right now I can't think on the top of my head of an occasion where a guy has said that he's fighting against the wife for 100% custody, that she's getting, and she had a good dad. I can't think of any right now. So the biggest risk factor that you're going to have in custody is if the mom was brought up by a single mom. Actually, to be exact, to be very specific, it's if she was already a single mom before she met you. That's really the number one. So if she had a little Adrian and where's the dad at? Oh, he's not around. That's the biggest risk factor. So I should have addressed that first. Then it comes if she was the daughter of a single mom. Single moms bring up single moms. Single moms of boys bring up absentee dads, sadly enough. I tell guys all the time, Johnny Depp was not the exception to the rule. Johnny Depp just happened to have the resources to fight the bullshit, but most of us don't. So Amber Heard was not a spinoff, a one-off, or anything like that. And I get, oh, Renee's a domestic violence denier. I'm not. Or well, they need to rule out the possibility of depression. It takes months, it takes weeks to months for antidepressants to start kicking in. And you don't want to be caught surprised. You just don't. So that and
Renee, wouldn't that be
people,
used against you though?
no, it's not.
Like if
Anybody
if you
want
get
to,
prescribed an SSRI, like wouldn't that be used against you?
No,
Hassan, you want to say?
no,
Uh,
no.
Hassan, you want to say who you are first? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a psychiatrist. I'm a child psychiatrist in addiction medicine. No, if you have depression, it's actually quite normal if you're going through it. What's used against you is if you say things like you're suicidal, they can say that you're not fit or that you're not, yeah, that you're not fit basically as a parent or that you have mental health issues. I mean, women often are the ones that it gets used against more, where they have, again, 80% of divorces are filed by women. They may have depression and then they blame it on the guy. But that basically the suicidal statements, whether made by women or men, are basically what the attorneys generally use. It's used against both genders. That statement that they're suicidal.
Thanks, Hassan. Yeah, and going back on the testosterone, get your testosterone checked. About 35%, 40% of my guys that I work with are on some kind of TRT, myself included. Organize your place. At this point in your life, you have to take some immediate action, and organization is going to be key. Start also taking care of yourself, like changing your passwords and all that stuff. Your ex just told you, dude. She just told you that she's filing. Okay, she wants a divorce. It's your job to protect yourself now. Anything else, you're neglecting yourself. So just emotionally, yeah, and validate your emotions. They don't have to be the 5 stages of grief. By the way, George, you brought that up to me earlier, and I was going to say something during a messenger part, because you and I were having the back and forth. I just said, oh no, I'll just address that later. So,
I mean, it feels like you're
So-
mourning, and that's kind of where I lost both my parents. I lost a brother. I've lost friends. So those feelings are still the same. The only difference is that, I mean, she's still alive. But I mean, the denial, the grieving, the what ifs. It's similar to when I lost my parents. It's grieving a relationship. I mean, I was with my wife for 25 years, so it feels like I'm in mourning, just like when I lost my brother or lost my parents. So to me, I'm familiar with those stages of grieving. So it's very similar to me. It's kind of like getting through those steps, and going, from anger, denial, like you said, trying to negotiate, acceptances, is where I want to get to. But my situation is still fresh. I mean, I think it's been 2-3 weeks since my wife moved out, so it's I'm still trying to process these emotions and trying to process these feelings.
No, totally. And validate what you're going through. That's what I'd say. But also, you need to start thinking about your future. A lot of guys, we get caught up in the why she left. A lot of guys get caught up into she's a fucking narcissist. We get caught up in that, absolving us of any responsibility, or we stay in our responsibility saying it's all our fucking fault. We're a bunch of losers. And that's not your job now is to your mental health. That's it. And
So, but you know what I'm trying to say.
can I tell you? Yeah, I know. Can I tell you something? I'm going to tell you right now that the hardest people to work with to end the mind fucks are the people the athletes, the boxers, the fighters, literally fighters.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that I'm like, fuck, because they don't know how to defend themselves outside of the fist. And you got to find a new way to defend yourself. You got to learn to fight differently. The knuckles don't do shit for you here. So you got to unlearn certain things and learn new things. So
You're right. And I mean, it's just something that comes, from what we've done in the past. And, I don't like people coming at me trying to, and lying and saying shit that's not true. And when she's done that many a times, I mean, it's just, and I feel like
Wait, but can I
my
ask you, what are
youth.
you doing for yourself? I don't give a fuck what she did to you, dude. Honest to God. What I care about, what are you doing for yourself? You're in here, and I love that. I think that's fucking awesome. What else are you doing?
I was laid off 8 months ago from a private
That's not
equity firm, and I'm trying to find a new job. But at the same time, I was making 200,000. Now I'm making $15 an hour working at Walmart trying to find a job.
okay. So what are you doing? Okay, so financially you're hurting.
Yes.
Understand? What are you doing for your development? What are you doing to get a what? That's where you got to put yourself. Where do you need to be? What are you doing for you right now? Okay. Start with exercise. Start with moving. There's 3 ways to get over to change your emotion. The first way is you change focus. So a lot of times I don't I've changed focus by pissing off people. They get mad, and I'm like, I kind of know what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
because they get angry, and I'm like, okay, they're not in that despair for that time. That's one. The second thing that you do is you start fucking moving. Start physically moving, dude. Start and it could be just a fucking cold shower. Take a cold shower. Seriously, that gets the juices going. You just sit, do some push-ups. That's the second, and then the third thing is you got to change your narrative. I mean, the narrative is that you're telling me is how all that she did to you. Now you got to start writing your story. So change that mentality and bring it forward. Move forward. It's kind of like the video that I said, when the United States had a choice when the Soviet Union, or when Russia went to space. Oh man, are we gonna just catch up? No, fuck no. They didn't get even. They got advanced. They shot for the moon, and within 10 years, we were there. The Russians never made it to the moon. Never got that far.
I'm going through this thing, and Renee told me this, and my stepdad told me this. He told me to watch this movie. I'm a youngster, Ryan. They told me to watch Shawshank Redemption. I'd never seen it from the 90s. So both Renee and my stepdad were like, watch that movie. And I think that's basically where we're stuck at. We're stuck in the jail, and we got our little spoons, and we're getting our little dirt out. And the goal is to end up in the Caribbean and outside of the system. And you just realize that, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's Shawshank. Yeah, what's his name? Marcus Dupree. My name is Marcus Dupree, the guy that walked down like a half a mile of shit and came out clean on the other end. Yeah,
I love that
dude.
movie.
Yeah, it's stoicism right there. That's a movie on stoicism. Look up ways that you could develop yourself. Like something that did for me. It's a stupid romantic comedy, Crazy Stupid Love. All right, I didn't want to be Steve Carell. I just didn't. I didn't want to be that guy 2 years later that was hurting trying to get his ex back. I didn't want to be. Yeah, learn new things. Get.
Yeah, that's exactly
meditate. Who? Sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly what I started doing. See, hey, how you doing? My name is Ed. My name is Jay.
Yeah.
When I got divorced in April, officially April. I was actually separated for like almost like a year and a half. And so when I moved out the house last year, of course I had to try to find something to kind of, to get me back to where I used to be. So I started talking to one of my friends, and they were like, "Here's something you can do." They said, "Look, go out in the city, go and find different things to do. Go and find some local events, and trust me, that'll help." And so I was like, "Okay, whatever." So I started doing it. I tried that, and I'm talking about that was like one of the best feelings ever because, just going out and doing things that I didn't know that I would enjoy. It just brought a brand new spark. But then I kind of stopped from that. And now since, I've been officially divorced, people getting back, they're telling me, hey, look, you need to go back and do what you were doing last year. And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing a lot of, playing a lot of traveling and, going back to, doing a lot of these events and things that I've always wanted to do. And in fact, like I'm actually about to get back into acting. And luckily, I got a second reading for this web series um, coming up Sunday. So that's a blessing. So it's something to keep it going because to be honest with you, I mean, I was pissed. I was hurt and I was pissed off at her. I was blaming her. Like you did this shit. But but but
Yeah,
after all, I just took your advice. That you said something in the video that I watched probably like some months back, and you say you got to just move past that. You have to think of the positive place of where you could be compared to having those negative thoughts of where she wants you to be. So that's working for me now, even though I still kind of got a little pain,
uh,
but
no, you get ahead of the problem. That's exactly what you do. And even if you weren't like trying to be a professional actor, take an acting lesson. Those are things that you can do. Take a dancing lesson, take a singing lesson. Just learn something new. Get yourself out there. Be willing to be so in love with winning that you're not afraid to make a mistake and lose. So common mistakes. Underestimating their ex. That's the big one. I'm sure all of you guys are kicking yourself in the ass that you underestimated your ex. Oh man, all of a sudden she's kicking your ass in divorce. You think that it's going well, and it's not. Underestimating your ex. You don't know who you marry until you divorce them. That's always the case. Second thing is letting her establish custody. If she is the daughter of a single mom, her ass doesn't realize the importance of a man. And if she has a son from another man and he's not active, that's the biggest red flag, but it's not as common as the daughter of a single mom. So, gentlemen, prepare. You fight for your custody, and I'm going to tell you, we think that that's the difference between the divorce coaches when they don't know, so when they're not, well, they're lacking practice is what I would say. Because when a divorce coach doesn't know what they're doing, they would say, yeah, the system's against men. Yeah, the system. No, it's just women take advantage of the system. But if the guys took advantage of it too, then it would be said the other way. And I go to this and I watch this and I see men getting their ass kicked because I would have been pissed off too if I was the judge. So one thing I would say, please write this down, keep this down. If you're going through a divorce right now, go to the fucking courthouse and watch the judge in action. The guy that you're watching, the guy that's in charge of your case, watch him in action. You'll learn a lot. Introduce yourself to the bailiff. Become the bailiff's BFF. But letting her establish custody, that's not going to happen. No. So staying in limbo, that's a big one. Denial. Men who stay in denial fail to progress. You have to not only accept your circumstances, but embrace your new circumstances. I'm such a proponent of meditating. The reason why is because meditating, it does something to you. It makes you be happy with what you have. Fortunately, when I was going through this process, because of my past with alcoholism, my ass was already meditating. I had been meditating for years. So when this was happening, clearly I upped it, but at least I handled it like a champ. Ryan, you were talking about you're a fighter. Okay, start meditating. Not guided meditation. That shit bored me as shit. If it works for you, great. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but try to focus attention. Focus on your breath. Focus on your fucking breath. I see this a lot, getting into a new relationship. Let me just say that when I refer from now on, if I refer to dating, I'm talking about casual dating. I'm not talking about relationship dating. So please, let's just, instead of me always having to define it, if I say dating, I'm talking about casual dating. And guys, we don't know how to form boundaries, and we get into a new relationship right away. And that's why 67% of second marriages end up in a divorce. The second marriage is harder than the first.
Hmm.
Any question? Okay. And getting the wrong attorney. Now, I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I'm going to make this clear. I have tried to collaborate with attorneys. Initially, I did anyways, because it was like, just like the average guy, the average divorce coach would say, like, you know, certain things go along with conventional wisdom. I used to say, get a fucking pit bull. Pit bulls bite back, and not always do you need an attorney. And in my nearly 6 years, I have yet to find an attorney, the family law, that I think, fuck, this is a good family law attorney. They will just totally take advantage of you if they see money. And fair enough, if they don't, because not everybody's that evil, they don't know how to prepare. You're hiring a litigator. A litigator doesn't know how to negotiate, how to communicate, how to reach across the table and shake hands. Everything is, we're going to write this up. We're going to write this up. That's litigation. You're not hiring somebody to save your ass from going from a criminal case, unless you're going to that. But we hire the wrong attorneys. If your kids are grown up, and I've seen more and more great divorce now, if your kids are grown up and you have a business, get somebody with experience in business. If you feel that there's going to be issues money-wise, find somebody that knows how to negotiate. The other part is, if they know that the attorney that she has, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. There's a lot of misconceptions about divorce attorneys, but let them be your last resort. That's really, that's hiring an attorney. It's a strategy. It's one of the strategies.
That's one of the things I really got lucky with is my personal attorney here in Kansas City sucked. But a good friend of mine was a divorce attorney in California and instructed me how to move my attorney and her attorney and everything. She wanted $6,000 alimony a month. And after all the lying and proving and all that kind of stuff, I don't pay her any alimony. With the story. What?
The laws are very well written when it comes to divorce.
How did you do that?
How did I do that?
Just like a 30-second or like a 30-second. I don't want to interrupt Renee.
No, that's fine. The way I did that was she brought all of these rape stories, all of this BS stories, and the judge looked at her and goes, we can see this isn't real, and we can see that what you're saying isn't real. And he just negated it, and it was his decision. She was pissed.
You got lucky with the judge. Okay. All right.
I think you have to look into the laws also of where they're at, because a lot of the times it's not necessarily trying to defeat the other person. Sadly, it's trying to protect yourself.
Yep.
So make sure when you definitely need to interview attorneys, but you don't have to hire them. Interview them so that you know your options. Ask yourself, what kind of attorney do I need? Do I need one that's good with finances? Do I need one that's good with child custody? Do I need a good negotiator? I mean, there's a whole shitload of different attorneys, and that should be your first question you ask an attorney. It's not like anything else, but what's your strengths? What's your strengths? That's it. I work with
Renee, what you said about the judges these days was true. That they're not necessarily for the women. Now, 13, 14 years ago, when my wife and I went through, or ex-wife went through the first time, it was that way. They favored the women. But these days, I'm seeing more and more and more the judges going, you're full of shit.
They know the drill. They've seen it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it depends on the county, depends on where you are, whether it's red and blue, and oh
Yeah.
man, yeah.
surprise, surprise, progressive states, the West, blue states, terrible, terrible. Okay.
Bingo.
Red states, they're very hot and cold. Some people are 20%, some people are automatic 50. California, 35%. Florida, 50. So, it really does. But have your question to the attorney needs to be, what's your strengths? I did one of my favorite videos, which got flagged, was on Kanye West, because it was very strategic. How he made every mistake he could have, everything, and but there it's addressed how to approach an attorney, and I would say sometimes you need a closer. There's different reasons why you need a divorce attorney. So just know that. Let's see. So earlier was common mistakes. Take care of yourself first, not your kids, but you. The number one predictor of how your relationship with your children will happen is how you handle the divorce. Okay. You have to practice self-care. Frankly, you were so caught up fighting against to keep your ex that we lost sight of the truth. We lost sight of who we are. We isolated ourselves, and we have to regain that. So take care of yourselves first. That's the first thing that needs to be addressed. Now people are going to say like, become selfish. I think trying to keep your wife when she's trying to walk out on you and ignoring everything else is probably more selfish than anything. She left. So take care of yourself first. What do you need to do to get your shit together? Not just legally, but mentally. You do that and your kids will follow. Oh, dude, I'm a victim of this one. Change your passwords. My ex-wife, my first wife, she and I are cool, by the way. So no, I don't want to talk. I'm nothing negative, but she was kicking my ass in the divorce. And later, I was like, how the fuck is she so up to date on this shit? Gee, I did not know what. I mean, it was fucking. It was insane. Well, she hacked into my email, and she knew my passwords. So before I would show up, she had a counter. So change your passwords. In fact, if people are getting divorced, one of the ways, a very common way people find out that someone else is cheating is through old phones, old information, that the information was not changed. So I already addressed this. Consult attorneys. When you guys talk to me, I will tell you guys right away, you guys need this kind of attorney. You need this type of attorney. I think going for bulldogs, I don't think I say that often anymore to go for a bulldog, but find yourself what kind of attorney you need. And ask them, you want to know how an attorney is strategic? Ask them this question. Considering my case or my circumstances, what are some potential pitfalls that can happen in my divorce? Where's some danger zones? And see how they think. Well, it depends. And, yeah, what? Because you have to protect yourself against those pitfalls. It's not a question of this. if you're gonna get surprised, is by how much. Right. So know your rights and responsibilities. For sure. What can I say? You know, guys, don't move out of the house unless you're forced to by a restraining order. You but don't stop paying the bills either. That's gonna count against you. You get dinged. And can you withdraw money up until the temporary? It's called it's temporary restraining order for finances. And can you withdraw money? Yes, until the restraining order takes into place. But here's the rule of thumb. If the money is used for divorce purposes, it's pretty much fair game. I get that a lot. So an attorney will tell you, yeah, for sure. You can use it to pay us. Yeah, you can use it for that. You can use it for mental health, for a coach. Yeah, it's fair game. So just know that. Any questions? And I know I said you may not need an attorney. Gosh, I got a lot of shit on attorneys. 1, 2, 3 on this one. And yeah, you guys consult attorneys. Make your decision before. If she hires an attorney, you're going to need one. That's when they're necessary. Now, the data shows that 80 to 90% of cases need a family law attorney. Okay. What the data does not tell you is that that's only necessary if she hired an attorney. In other words, if she didn't hire an attorney, it's to your benefit not to hire one. Don't draw first blood. But have one on your back pocket. Any questions? And one thing I'll say is people will say file first. I used to say that too. Then I got experience as a divorce coach, and yeah, you don't have to file first. Some people say it's you know, some people say, yeah, file first. You become like the prosecution. In other words, you're the petitioner instead of the respondent. So you're first to act. That you also spend more money, tend to spend more money if you're the petitioner. You also, the big one is you stroke first. You did the first strike. Maybe she wasn't going to get an attorney. And then the other one is that you could kind of counter if you know that her attorney or if that person that you're interviewing, the possible attorney, knows that attorney, you know how to approach your divorce. If it's an attorney that's high conflict, then you know what kind of attorney you should get in response. Okay. Any questions? So for many guys,
Hey, Renee.
Yes, sir.
I was just going to say about hiring the attorney first. So I tried mediating it with her, but her asks were so unreasonable that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to come to a conclusion with it. So I did hire an attorney in that standpoint, not because I was trying to play gotcha, but just because, she wanted 100% equity in the house and majority kids, and for me to pay full support. Like, fuck off. Like, that's not a reasonable starting place from. So I think sometimes it depends on what the situation is.
No, thank you very much, Ryan. Yes, absolutely. If you're getting punked, yeah. I would say go through mediation as much as you can. So, but yeah, now how about the dating game, right? Because a lot of us, well, we're now out. Some of us, your friend here, yours truly, 2-time losers, but well, you're going to succeed and it's going to thrive, and it's all you approach it. So when is it okay to date? Here's what I tell guys. Don't begin dating until at least the papers have been filed. And the simple reason for that is if you try to date and you haven't filed, first of all, well, you're not going to get much luck. No girl's going to want to meet a guy who's still hasn't filed. The other one is if you're in the military. If you're in the military, you shouldn't date because you could get in trouble. So but that said, there's a ton of guys that do it while they're in the military. So I think it's like the don't ask, don't look, don't ask, don't tell rule of the 90s. Will it help or make things worse? Who wants to say something about this?
100% help, unless you don't have a place to pull them back to. That's my problem right now.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. It does help. Big time it helps. The caveat is if you don't do it properly. Nothing could be worse for me than when I was starting and going through my divorce. And if it would have been a bad time dating, that would have confirmed all her name calling, all that shit she put me through. And fortunately, I realized that she was wrong about that. So what I would say to that is it definitely helps, but you have to go all in. Don't half-ass it. If you're not having luck online dating, you're not taking it serious. I'm not bullshitting you guys. I've seen so many guys with their pictures, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is your best foot forward? Remember this. Please remember this very clear. Men say that they want to represent themselves, their true selves, right? Their real selves. So they're not going to lie about how they look. But a female wants to know that your ass is going to be able to take care of yourself. If you guys go on a date, if she takes you to work, that you know how to take care of yourself when there's something that's going on. So saying that, oh, I'm going to use t-shirts on my dating app and a hat because that's what I wear, it's inexcusable. And the biggest complaint of women is that guys they don't know that they're ugly. Basically, the quality is not there. And that doesn't mean getting a photographer. Hassan, you and I, how many times did I tell you to take a picture?
Yeah, you told me to take a lot of pictures. You told me
Yeah.
at least 1,000. I took 100, but you said to take 1,000.
Well, yeah, that's give or yeah. But right, I was like, you want to look this way, you want to post that way, you want to post that way. So one thing I tell the guys is to take your own pictures. Do it. Learn to take your pictures. If you get a photographer, I don't care how independently wealthy you are, you still should learn to take your own pictures. Like I said, I had a guy earlier. He reached out to me. These are his pictures, and I said, "Well, yeah, they're nice, they're professional, but they don't have sex appeal. It's a guy wearing a suit, looks good, but there's no sex appeal. There's no allure behind it. So I would vote for him for Congress. So take your picture seriously. Every picture that you set up needs to tell a story. And you got to ask her, what's it doing? First dates, should it look like? Well, first, hopefully she's hot, but I'm not talking about her. Don't take them out to something expensive. That's where you want to keep it real. A lot of guys will try to keep it real in the pictures, then they meet, and then they go in some fancy place. Set the tone right away that you're not there to try to impress her with your dining. Go to a nice, good mom and quaint place. Like, don't take her to the spaghetti factory, but take her to some local place, a bistro or something. But don't spend too much money on them. It'll get expensive. And remember that you, my friend, you guys are the entertainment. Don't rely on Topgolf, so to speak, to be your entertainment. You're the entertainment. Just you talking to her, two adults. And So I'll tell you guys a story. And when I first had my first encounter, sexual encounter during after my divorce, or after my marriage, a lot of guys undergo performance anxiety, and it's a bunch of reasons why. You get into your head, things are different, you're a little nervous, and you're sympathetic, you're anxious, so your sympathetic nervous system doesn't give you an erection, because so you get limp. And I straight up said, this never happened before. So there's the whole fucking thing, exactly the way people say, that's how it happened. Oh my God, this never happened before, making the person feel awkward and making embarrassed, and the whole cliche. In fact, I asked the guys, and you guys can see that a lot of guys on their first occasion have a hard time getting a boner. So be prepared, have a good condom. That's one thing that I was really surprised on, how much women are willing to have sex without a condom. That to me was well, not hygienic, but also talk to your doctor about that too, about the possibility of giving you erectile dysfunction pills. I had the pleasure, I have a medical background, and I had the pleasure of doing my urology rotation the week before Pfizer released their nice, awesome medication, Viagra. And I was at the VA doing urology, and in urology clinic day, you're seeing like 50 to 60 patients. Boom, 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 it's quick. And back then, you used to tell the guy, you used to give the guys syringe and needle, and they injected the base of their penis. And you tell them, hey, massage your penis for a few minutes, I'll be right back, right? That's what you'd say. But a lot of guys back then used to say like, hey, there's this new medication coming out. Can you give me some? Could you give it to me? And God, in that single day, 1 week before it was supposed to launch, it was amazing how many prescriptions we wrote for Viagra. Life-changing. So, yeah. Anyways, I don't know why. So,
Hey, Renee.
Uh-huh.
Just really quick about performance anxiety. So some guys are going to be worried about getting it up. Some guys are going to be worried about ejaculating too quickly. I think that you should address both, because that's something that most people are going to be too shy in order to bring up.
Premature ejaculation, I'll address that. SSRIs, I was on one, so you kind of have the opposite problem. You don't necessarily bust a nut so quick. In fact, it becomes a mission.
I could take care of this one. This is a free advice.
Thank you, Hassan.
My homies here. All right. If you are worried about performance anxiety and not getting it up, Wellbutrin and mirtazapine or Remeron. Don't sue me. Talk to your own doctor. But basically, Wellbutrin is the one that gives you energy and weight loss. So if you're trying to get back into shape and trying to kick ass and have boner, Wellbutrin's where it's at. If you take an SSRI, like Renee was saying, like Lexapro or Zoloft, if you've got PTSD, from like cops having a TRO where they falsely, get you and steal your kids at gunpoint, something like a PTSD SSRI like Zoloft can be helpful, and it could basically help you last a little longer if you've got premature ejaculation. There's certain ones that are better for PTSD. There's certain ones that are better for just regular depression. But yeah, definitely you can have Wellbutrin will help you get a boner, and a regular SSRI will make you last longer.
Thank you very much. Do you want to address a little bit about PTSD and men getting divorced?
Yeah, it's very real. I think the idea of being falsely charged and being threatened with imprisonment, right? Or having false charges against you when you're an upstanding citizen, go to work, pay your taxes, believe, vote and believe in, the justice system. And all of a sudden you've got you're being falsely accused and being sucked into a criminal system. you start to lose faith in the process. And that's one of the things. Like, you give up hope, you have nightmares, you have flashbacks, you're avoiding things, you're constantly replaying the thoughts in your head. You feel, some people could feel a little jumpy. You feel like doom, or like some of the symptoms overlap with depression, where you feel like, it's never going to get better, like it's going to be hopeless. Basically, you tend to isolate more. Like, I would work at the VA, and a lot of these guys would be like out shopping at like 3 a.m. at night, and they didn't want to be around people. But you end up isolating too. It's a real issue, especially when, again, you're constantly under fear that you're going to go to jail, right? Like, if you don't make payments, right, you're going to end up in jail.
And the chronic abuse that you're getting. I've had a lot of guys who were fucking special forces, badass, fucking sick motherfuckers, just been in battle, and they come out of their divorce with PTSD. You're going through a lot. You're going through a lot of abuse. Now, I know, Hassan, you would say that the PTSD is more of an acute thing. I'm understanding, but I see it quite a bit. And it's a big clue is when you talk to somebody and you say, "Hey, how you doing?" They're like, "Oh, fucking A, man, she fucking me over," or she fucking, and you're like, that wasn't the point. That was just a quick question. But Ryan, just going back to you about the premature ejaculation, SSRIs key, but they slow that down. But I don't know what else. To be honest, I don't know what else. I'd be talking out my ass on that.
SSRIs work. Yeah. The other thing that works if you're having performance anxiety in terms of getting it up, there's it's like a partial SSRI. It's called Buspar. It works pretty good if you don't want to use Viagra. If it's more mental, Buspar is another one that gets you up. But basically, again, Viagra is the one that is like the one that turns on the pipes, but if it's in your head, more Buspar is where it's at in terms of getting it up. If you want to last longer, an SSRI like Lexapro probably be the one that you would go with.
So, have you heard about these, like these things called like the honey packs that everybody talks about? Like, what do you think about those? Have you heard about those?
I don't know much about it, man. I don't know much about.
Yeah, they're usually like, well, actually, they got really popular because they got different companies that have these. So all it is just, you get these honey packs. It's almost the size of little bit size of the like ketchup condiments. And so what people do is, they take it right before, they take the honey. They either put it in their drink, or some of them, most people that I know, they take the honey and eat the honey directly. And it's, it's supposed to give them this almost like this jolt, for energy, and also supposed to help it that erectile dysfunction. It's supposed to be a quick method to do it, but I don't know if you knew too much about it or not. But a lot of people are doing it. They've been doing it for like
I recommend All Day Chemist.
Yeah.
Let's go to All Day Chemist. That's all I would say. They take a while to get in, but All Day Chemist, and they work really well. That's all I would say to that. And Steak Cialis, that's the one, because it's lasts forever. It's fun. Multiple orgasms.
And exercise. Get your freaking heart rate up.
I think like if you just say it to, you just tell her like, "Hey, I have a little performance anxiety. We're gonna take a little while doing this." That helps too. It becomes kind of fun after a while, to be honest. Because then it's on her, right? And you just tell her straight up, "I have performance anxiety, whatever, like multiple girls, whatever."
I've panicked. I'll be honest. I panicked. Oh shit. So here's a little part. Yeah. So will dating early backfire? Here's what happens. Men that have been separated for over a year that started dating within the first 3 months, right? So if you just separated and you started dating, and 1 year later they were asked. So this is from a quality of life study that I did. It was over 700 guys. So they started dating within 0-1, and after 1 year, you could see the quality of life was 76. Okay, but what about the men who were separated? Same after 1 year. But they didn't start to date until after 1 year. So they waited to date because they wanted to feel whole again. A lot of guys wait to date. And you'll see that the quality of life didn't go up as much. So does it help? Absolutely. Just the one thing I would say is do it cautiously, in the sense of you got to know what you're doing. You got to do it right. You got to put yourself out there, take the correct pictures. You got to, I have guys, this happens so many times. The guy will go and they'll say to me, oh man, I'm hurting. Then they all of a sudden they join on that and they start realizing their potential. Like, holy shit. And they forget. It's amazing how much they forget how much they were hurting. I'm not saying to get back in a relationship, not at all. I am saying though that it helps substantially. The kiddos, your relationship, it's black and white. If you're still going through it, if you're in denial, if you're still talking about your ex, you know what happens? That I've been seeing a lot of the great divorce. You know what happens? A lot of these guys, they have young adult kids, and they'll say, their kids will say, Dad, just get over it. They're sick of hearing about it. Dad, just get over it. And the dad feels betrayed because, well, shit, man, this is, their mom did that. Their mom caused this. Yeah, but the kids, they grew up. They're old enough. They know the game. So, will your relationship? It definitely will. It's just, how do you want it to be affected, good or bad? I wouldn't want to be a married dad with my kids. The bond that I have with my kiddos, nah. I like the way it was done. And I see that happen over and over again. So just remember that. You will bond with your kids if you accept and embrace your new circumstances. The new stepdad, right? The new stepdad. Want to address this because it was brought up in the Facebook group that I'm part of, that I have. Here's the thing. For the most part, the new guy, they're respectful of the wife. Let me rephrase that. They may not be respectful of the wife, but they sure are about the kid. They usually don't get in the way. If they do, feel sorry for them because they're buying her bullshit and they're going to be her next victim. But for the most part, overwhelmingly, they do not get involved. They respect you as their father. They will. And so you need to put your pride aside. And if you have kids, adolescent and younger, put your pride aside and say, all right, dude, thank you for taking care of my kids. Just ask you to respect me as their dad. They're not get involved. Because I know that you may not want to, but it's a necessity. So drop the guard, all of that. Get them involved. Excuse me. Try to be upfront. No dad's gonna want, and no stepdad is gonna say, "Oh, don't call me." If you say that, no stepdad's gonna say, "Hey, call me dad." Just don't. It's not gonna happen. So respect them, and you kind of need them. The sad part is you need them, because they can make your life a living hell, but they usually don't. Most of them are single dads already, and they don't want to get them. They know the drill. of what they're going through. And chances are their ex didn't want that, was the one that left them also. The hardest thing I ever did was be part of a blended family. I used to call it the great experiment. I would never do that again. Just that's all I'll say about that. If you guys are in your 30s and you date somebody with younger kids, man, you think being a dad is or a parent is a thankless job. That is completely thankless. As far as co-parenting, don't try to negotiate or morality. Don't try to legislate morality. Don't put it, oh, she can do this, but she can't, she can't do that, because what's going to happen is going to backfire. You want to have this go easy. And basically, when you talk to the parents, you want them to, when you co-parent, you want everything out of the way. Hopefully the dust has settled and all that stuff. But I've seen guys that have been 11 years, 7 years, 10 years, that are still going through this whole shit, and they got to let it go. Try not to try not to put too many rules, and vice versa. Like I said, the best, you're going to be free to be your own dad, to be the father that you wanted to your kids. And you want to take advantage of that opportunity. And fuck yeah, tell your kids that you're starting to date again. Respectfully, of course. But we miss that. We miss that big time. When we start dating, a lot of guys will not tell their kids, and that's an opportunity missed. Who says you can't tell them? Let them know, get them involved. Have them like, hey, how's this look? This kind of stuff. Get them involved. They're going to want to see their dad happy again. So,
Just not while you're cohabitating.
yeah, that's a tough one. Cohabitating and dating is, yeah. But let them know. Let them know. Tell them that you want a wingman, or Now, takes about 2 years, as I mentioned before, and that data has been, it's been released quite a bit. And the funny thing is that my study, the study I did, a quality of life study did, showed the same thing, 2 years, but you can't speed it up. So, and guys in my team, actually, this is an old slide. It's a lot higher than that, the numbers. In 3 to 6 months, guys start feeling better because they're so ahead of the game. We all have our worst case scenarios, and I'll tell you this: my worst case scenario was to be 2 years down the line, still trying to get my ex back. That was my worst case scenario. I'm gonna ask for one volunteer. Can somebody do me a favor and volunteer something that they're grateful for?
I am so grateful that the relationship has ended because I'm now free to be the man that I want to be and show the example of the man that I want my daughters to have in the future.
That you're making decisions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyone
I'm
else?
happy.
You're embracing it, Ryan. You totally are. You're embracing your new position. Anyone else?
I am grateful for the relationship that that I have with my children, but also I am grateful that the things that, like I said earlier, the things that I missed out on in my life, as far as these things I wanted to do, I always wanted to do or get back in the things that I did years ago. I have the opportunity now to do that. And then I have those supportive people that's with me that say, you know what, man, get back into, doing this particular thing that you were so good at. and it makes me feel good because, you're not the only person that's in the situation. You got people that knows of your situation, that wants to help you, that really cares for you. And I'm really grateful just to have those people to push me, to kind of help push me along to, just to be a better version of what I was, because I lost a piece of myself in the marriage, to be honest with you. And, and it was really sad that one of my close friends, she told me, she said, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love you, my best friend, you're one of my closest friends, but you are a shell of yourself. And when she told me that shit, I was like, wow. And I had to think about it. And so, but coming up to this time of point now, I'm understanding what she's saying and getting back to the mix of not only just being me, but to see what I can do in the future, and also what my kids can look at and say, hey, that's my father. I'm proud of my dad for
I'm,
for
I'm
what
gonna
he.
ask you, Jay and Ryan. Sorry to cut you guys up, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna ask you guys to be a lot more specific when you guys do that. Okay. So
Okay.
I'll give you an example. Okay. So I'm grateful for the opportunity I have to go with Jay, I think you brought up your friend, my best friend, Michelle, whatever her name is, for letting me know that XYZ, and let them know that you appreciate them.
Yeah.
Practice gratitude specifically. I am grateful that this morning my kids just woke up next to me and started laughing. We had the opportunity to go to coffee and take them and speak about Bible verses. I'm grateful that, and be also, I'm grateful that I'm good looking. I'm grateful that I'm rich, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Practice gratitude that way.
I'm grateful that I
So-
found Renee and I lost 40 pounds going
Yeah.
to the gym. Yeah.
And the way,
Here, here.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and
I
I've
appreciate that, guy. I appreciate that, guys. I do. Honestly, I'm grateful that she left me. I'm grateful that I found out that she cheated. I'm grateful that I found my balls, my voice, that I found my renaissance. I'm grateful for Anna, my sweetheart. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of her son. To be honest with you, we don't, I like to give you your flowers, Renee. For, like a lot of these guys that, we come from different places and we all get lost in this whole situation. But after we found, like, for me, I found your YouTube page. I mean, I don't know how I found it. I think I would just be searching like how to get over divorce or some shit. And I just came upon your page, and you had like 5 or 6 videos at the time, and I watched them back to back to back, and you just give a whole another perspective of this whole process, and a lot of us, we thank you for what you've done for us this far, and there's so much that we got to learn, but I just wanted to, say, give you your flowers for it, just for the support and for the help that you given hundreds of, or even thousands of men out there. So kudos to you, man.
Thank you. And pay it forward. That's all I would say. Just pay it forward. And damn, dude, that's a long time ago if you saw me when I had 6 videos. I hadn't
Yeah.
gotten through puberty yet. So,
Yeah,
questions, gentlemen.
yeah, I did
Yeah,
I
you
did
were.
a conference call, Jay, with one of my friends. I
Yeah.
like so many of us isolate. I had him I think this was Ryan's idea. Put him on a conference call with Renee. And yeah, man. And then he talked with Renee and then I gave him privacy and yeah, man, it's life changing. Definitely pay it forward. Like a lot of dudes isolate and they don't reach out. And again, connecting with Renee, again, yeah, I can tell you, man, it's life changing. Definitely that conference call. He was like, it shook him. Like he was so in that negative state and he was like, what the hell is this possible? It's just like a light. It's up to the person whether they run towards it or not. But definitely, again, conference call for Renee if you can and
I'll
sign up.
I'll double on that. I think Hassan, I'm introducing Renee to my my brother one more time from our talk last week. I'm gonna give it one more try. I think it'll be really beneficial there.
I'm gonna call you brother. How about that? How about them apples?
Yeah. He's
Yeah. I'm
he's
kidding.
gonna
I'm
be
not kidding.
listening.
Who the
I'll
fuck is
get you guys
this?
on the call. Yeah.
Who the fuck is Renee?
I,
Who is
I
she?
I think it was just like frustration built up, but I
I think
like how Hassan did it. So
I
I'll
think I
probably
created a text chat first where I tried
Yeah.
to introduce him, and then I was like, "Yo, like this dude, he's been really helpful." Because my friend was like really down. He was like texting me really down stuff. So I created that group, and then he called me, and then I was like, "Yo, wait, let me call Renee." But definitely, man, it's
yeah.
like people,
Yeah.
just that negative mindset, you know, like it's just all day, like just dwell on the negative. It's like Shawshank Redemption. I mean, we're all going through hell, but we got to get out, man. You know, we
Right.
got our little spoons.
Guys, my goal with you guys is this: is that you guys are so far up ahead of the game. It's like a wormhole. Have you guys heard about like the whole? I don't know if you guys have ever seen. I'm not a sci-fi fan, but to go from A to B, right? They say like to go from A to B, you go direct line, right? Fucking just do it this way and make a hole in between to get direct there faster. That's all I would say. There's a way to get there faster. You can speed up anything except meditating. That's the only thing I can't figure out. But anything else, there's cost and consequences to it, but you could speed up pretty much anything. You know,
Yeah, drugs
Don't-
can speed up meditating
probably, huh?
and not help you
Yeah,
though.
Guys, thank you very much. Please reach out. Reach out to your friend if they're hurting. Let them know. Take their fucking shit serious, and you guys too. People, I had a guy when I was going through my divorce say to me, "Hey, say I was going through the divorce," and then he reached out angry at me because his uncle died, and I didn't reach out back, and I was like, "Dude, I'm going through a fucking divorce." Yeah, that's a divorce, man. That's, you know. I was like, "You insensitive prick." People don't realize what you're going through until they go through it themselves. So, thank
And
you,
men
guys.
isolate, which is again why that call is important and why connecting
Yeah,
through that and serving as a bridge is important, because they're not going to do
Yeah.
it themselves. They're going to isolate and be like, yeah, and complain, and then they're just going to turn off. They're not going to, or they're not going to even say anything. You know, being that bridge, it's pretty important.
yeah.
Hey
It's
guys, if anybody's not on Renee's, or if you haven't done the one-on-one session with Renee, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do so. I had a date 3 hours after she asked for
you.
a divorce, right? And there's no way that I would be in anywhere near the headspace that I'm at without having talked to him. So whatever you're doing, just click the link and book the frickin' call. It's free.
Yeah, I gotta do
Yeah, yeah, totally. Look, I come with answers. That's the bottom line. I'm not like, oh, tell me about your childhood, where you dropped, where you hugged. Nah, it's about what I don't even know. No, many of you guys know. I don't ask about your circumstances. Many of you guys know. It's like 30 minutes into it, you're like, this fucker hasn't told me what happened about with my divorce. I don't get into her. She's taken up enough of your real estate. I talk about you. I give a shit about you, and I need to know your circumstances, not hers. Not what she's done to you, but where the fuck you're at and how to move you forward. Bottom line. Thank you, everybody, and bless very much. Seriously. Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Renee.
Take care, guys.